Thank you, Presiding Officer. This 70-minute debate and the number of people who are here in the chamber means that we as human beings will have emitted approximately 1,000 litres of carbon dioxide. All human activity has a price in climate terms. And it's important that we unite together in seeking to deal with that. Now, the opinions on the whole subject of this are pretty uniform in saying there's a problem. My being the climate change minister 10 years ago and taking the previous bill through fundamentally changed my attitude to life and everything. Greta Thunberg is the flag bearer for the young generation, but she doesn't stand alone. Even unlikely suspects like the United States Central Intelligence Agency in its worldwide threat assessment makes quite clear climate hazards such as extreme weather, etc., are intensifying, threatening infrastructure, health, water, food security. Irreversible damage to ecosystems and habitats will undermine the economic benefits that they provide, worsened by air, soil, water and marine pollution. So there is the broadest possible spectrum, Presiding Officer, for tackling this agenda, and we should respect that. It's important too, however, that we don't imagine that all 7 greenhouse gases must come down to zero. The economics and prioritisation that we have to bring to this agenda are important. We must tackle the easy, low-hanging fruit first. We must make sure that every pound we spend on this delivers the maximum possible benefit. Now, farming in particular suffers because of the way the inventory works. Farming does get no numerical benefit for its activity in forestry. It gets no numerical benefit for the substantial renewable energy that comes from wind farms on farmers' fields and so on and so forth. It is elsewhere in the inventory, and that's fair enough. I think Peter Chapman's correct. Farmers are part of the solution. We shouldn't talk ourselves into thinking there's a major farming crisis. But the IPCC, in its report in October, made clear that there is a very real and pressing crisis. They talked about the Arctic having no ice whatsoever. Well, if all the ice in the world were to melt, the world's seas would rise by 60 metres. Every single coastal town and city on this planet would be inundated. It's that serious. But even lesser inundations come from lesser changes in the climate, 10% of the ice, and this is within practical consideration, can be melting. That will raise the seas by 6 to 8 metres, and many of the cities around the world will suffer. That is an economic problem, sure, but it's a real human problem as well. And that is why it's right and proper that the Greens bring this debate to us today. Liam Kirkcaldy in Holyrood magazine highlights some of the practical effects by talking about Cyclone Idai in Beria, a city of 500,000 people. Every building in the city has been affected by that cyclone. It isn't in and of itself part of the climate change problem, but it's the sort of thing that happens with increasing frequency as the climate changes. Presiding Officer, it's important that we, as we take the climate change bill forward, that we find ourselves having the vigorous debate such as today, but unanimously at the end of the day decide on a programme of action that we all might have to compromise to get to. But if we unite, we can deal with this. Presiding Officer.